Historic preservation tells the story of a community through its built environment. Another aspect of preservation are the stories of the people that live there. We hope you enjoyed this segment of Local Lives for Tybee Island, as residents share why they call Tybee home.
I'm Jerry Rogers, Tybee resident, also on the radio, and you can tell by looking at me, I have the perfect face for radio, don't I? But, you know, the sort of the theme of this is, why do you live on Tybee? Why do you love Tybee? Well, let me tell you a little bit of the story. I came to Savannah as a disc jockey in 1969. You know, going from town to town, stuff like that. And I came here, and I was at Drayton Towers for like 2 months. That's where I first settled, disc jockey for WSGA radio. Then I said, you know, let me see what's out at the beach. And back then it was called Savannah Beach. And I knew so little about it. I knew it was this place, there was this high school called Beach High School. I kept looking, where's the high school out here at the beach? Of course, I've come to know a little bit more about the community since then. So I came out to Tybee, and I got a place. This was 1969. And I said, wow. You know, I grew up in New York City. And I said, man, I can live on the beach. And that's really, Tybee is the reason I've stayed in Savannah all these years. That, and the fact that I really didn't have enough talent to go anywhere else. So Tybee is just a special place. I remember back then, back in the 70s, when you told folks you lived on Tybee full time, it was like saying you lived in Ludwig. It was the wrong side of the tracks. Then, of course, back in the 80s, other folks discovered it, but it's still absolutely terrific. It's quirky, it's different, it's unique. You know, we all long for the good old days, right? I remember back in the 70s, in the winter, you could walk down Butler without any clothes on. It didn't matter. There was nobody here, right? But, you know, those were the good old days, but these are still the good days on Tybee. It's just better than everywhere else. I mean, we have a great beach, we have great people, we have great restaurants, although that was one of the changes on Tybee. When we got the first restaurant with a tablecloth, that was kind of the beginning of the end, you know, for the good old Tybee. But I just, I love Tybee, and one of my mantras now is, on the weekends, unless it's a life cycle event, I will not cross the Lazaretto Creek Bridge for anything. Now, people used to invite me for stuff. They don't bother anymore, because I won't leave Tybee. And who would, right? It's paradise. It's heaven on earth. Probably the greatest place to live anywhere in the country. Tybee Island, Georgia, it's the best.
My name is Jerry Onescu.
And I'm Sheila Onescu.
And we've been on Tybee since 2008, March of 2008. We moved here from Chicago, and our first taste of Tybee came approximately 4 years before then, and we came to a wedding on the beach that was Sheila's daughter's wedding.
That January, it was about 20 degrees in Chicago, maybe 20 inches of snow and about 5 below in Chicago, and I came down to help my daughter move into her new place down here, and it was just like walking on the beach in the middle of January was just such a beautiful treat. So I called Jerry and I said, hey, I think we're moving.
And we did, and we came down here and we spent a couple of months after we closed on the condo, and got acclimated with Tybee as we thought then as residents, and have become full-time residents since then.
I think that the thing that impressed me that I liked about the island was when I was first here helping my daughter, I would walk over to her place over on Miller Avenue. I'd have to go through the community park, and it was just such a January. Everything was kind of open and there was nobody here hardly, just a few residents that live here on Tybee. And there's a little dirt road there, and it was just like so unusual coming from Brooklyn and from Chicago. It was just such a different feeling. So I just love the quaintness of it, and it just felt very, very homey. And one of the things that I like about Tybee is that there are so many different personalities here. Not people, there are a lot of personality people here too, but the housing is just so different. There's like little cottages, and there's like homes back in the back where they're like just isolated. They almost feel like Key West, you know, they're just really beachy and fisherman kind of places. And then there's the beautiful hotels and the condos and the pools and the beach, and there's all that differentness. So I like that about Tybee.
Yeah, there's so much activity on Tybee. The beach being number one, the beautiful sand that we have, and the water and the renourishment that gets done every 7 years. And just before it gets done, it's a short walk to the beach, and we live on the beach. And then when it's renourished, it's like I need to pack a backpack with lunch because it seems like it's a mile out there. But it's a wonderful time, a wonderful community, a lot of opportunities with volunteerism. So if you like to volunteer, there's a lot of things to do on Tybee. They're always looking for people. And I understand that Santa has volunteered his time here on the island. So come and see him during the parade the first weekend in December, and you can tell him what you want for Christmas.
By the way, I'm Mrs. Santa on Tybee Island, and if anybody would like to let us know what Mrs. Santa's first name is, maybe you could, write into Tybee Island and let us know what that is, because there's a lot of different ideas of what her first name is. So how about that?
I call her Honey. I don't know her first name.
I think there's just so many nice things to do here. I belong to the women's group that play, the senior group that plays cards on Mondays. Over at the old school, we have lunches, and it's just very, very warm and just a lot of friendliness. And there's a lot of great churches and groups here. Volunteer, like I said, I also volunteer at the food pantry, so we have a lot of diversity here in helping people. Not everybody on Tybee can afford beaches and condos and that, so there are also the people that all work here and help us have a good time on Tybee and help all the visitors.
And we get the opportunity to see movies made on Tybee. Miley Cyrus was here and just loaded the island with little girls that wanted to see Miley. About a year ago, Robert De Niro was here with Zac Efron, and they filmed the scene by our condo. But the opportunity to see that going on the island, and it brings in more tourism. And I forgot to mention that I love this island because I can wear shorts year round. And I love the fact that when you have to go to a formal function on Tybee, you wear flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt. That is being very formal, so we do a lot of that.
We also have a great new school here on Tybee called the Tybee Maritime Academy, which my grandson now goes to, and sadly it's going to end in 5th grade. We would love a way to be able to keep it going to 8th grade. There's just so much diversity, like I said, on Tybee, that we really, really enjoy everything about it.
And it's a great place with, we have our own city council and mayor and city manager, and you'll run into any of these people out on the street, and they'll take a minute if you want to talk to them. They'll stand there and talk with you. And our mayor's pretty active. He gets out there on the surfboard. I think he's still learning, but he's getting better.
One of the most beautiful scenes is in the back river in the evening for the sunsets. Oh, if you want to do photography, that's the place to go in the late afternoon or evening. It's just beautiful.
It is, and lately I've been able to get some beautiful shots over the ocean in the evening of the sun being reflected from the west over to the east side, and they're just spectacular.
And we're happy to be spending the sunset of our lives right here on Tybee.
Hi, I'm Tommy Thompson. I have lived on Tybee for 60 years this summer. We moved here ironically because my baby sister had asthma when she was born, and the doctor thought that the salt air would do her good, and sure enough it cleared up her asthma. And my parents were renting a cottage from family friends, and they ended up making a deal to buy it. at the time, so it's been, we have to blame my little sister for living on Tybee. But been an awful lot of changes over 60 years, and my family we've been here continually since 1956, and I left right out of high school and went into the military during Vietnam era, and ended up moving to Boston after that, and went to school there and worked around the country doing real estate development, and finally was able to get back home in 2008. So Tybee was always home. You know, I could never get the salt sand out from between my toes, you know, all those years. But where we live over in the North Beach area, it's built up tremendously since my childhood. We had sort of the run of the island. The gun batteries didn't have names back then. You know, they were just, we'd call them the fort. You know, and we'd meet up at the fort. They were kind of our jungle gym when we were kids. Everybody would play on the forts, and we had the run of the island. You know, with your bicycles, and your parents knew all your friends, and they knew where you were all the time. And you know, when the sun went down, you came home. And I think I was in the 5th grade when we moved here, and they were just building the new Tybee school, which is now the old school they refer to. And there was a one-room schoolhouse where roughly where the Veterans Memorial is now. Some of the places are different, and there are lots of new development has happened, but the one constant about Tybee is that it's like one big family, the permanent residents who live here. And whenever regardless of your political affiliation or anything else, whenever there's somebody in trouble, people rally around to take care of them. And that's what makes Tybee special, I think, to me and to a lot of people.
My name is Vivian Dubuque, and I have been a Tybee resident for 16 years. However, I've been a property owner for 26 years. There are many things that I love about Tybee. First of all, as you drive to Tybee over the Tybee Road, it's such a nice feeling of contentment, and particularly when you get to Lazaretto Bridge, it just sets the tone. And once you get to Tybee, the beach living, island living is wonderful. I love the ocean breezes. My best times I've spent sitting on the beach, watching people, watching the surfers, the kite surfers. It's just amazing. Also, you can go back to the back river and watch sunset. There is something for everyone to do here. There are many volunteer organizations, which is a great way to meet people. There is no reason to be lonely on Tybee. I particularly like the Historical Society. I love the Beautification Committee and the Post Theater, and also entertainment. There's something for everyone. The Post Theater's just been renovated, and they bring in many wonderful performances, music, plays, movies. We also have a smaller theater for smaller performances. Along with the entertainment comes, the different culture. We have the library, which is excellent. The staff is so friendly, and once they get to know you, they even save books for you. And churches, we have several denominations, and we all attend ecumenical conferences or events together. We even have an ecumenical blessing of the animals. City Hall is great. They're very accommodating. Staff knows you all by name. The political scene, now that's something else that is so much fun. Everyone has a say-so. In our vote, we are approximately 3,000 inhabitants on the island, and there are 3,000 different opinions. And the celebrations after the election is lots of fun. Post office, now that is a fun place to go to. Every day you go and you see all your friends in the little different groups congregating and exchanging information, not gossip, just information. And again, volunteering, as I said, is an excellent way to meet people. There's nothing not to like about living on Tybee. It's just a great place. Last, but certainly not least, are the Tybee residents. They are so open and friendly. You can stop by their homes anytime. They welcome you in. They love to sit with you on their porches. They are just a great group of people. And these people, some of them are from generational, and others just come here. They come to visit, and they know this is where I want to live. So they come here and make their home, and they just add so much to the community. It's a very eclectic community.
Hi, my name is Jim Glass. I've lived on Tybee now for about 16 years. Grew up here and left a long time ago, was gone for 30 years, and then when I retired, I came back. And I guess, you know, the reason for coming back here is that, first of all, it's a beach town. Secondly, it's a small community. You do know people here. It's not being like in a big city, and I've lived in big cities, but you know, a small town, and there's a sense of community. You may not agree with everybody that you know that lives there. You may have some differing views on politics and other things, but when things get tough, people will come to your aid. It's a good place to live in that respect. There are more fundraisers here for charities and for individuals when they have a hard time, for breast cancer, for all kinds of things that you can think of. And the bars participate as well as the restaurants, and it just makes it a very nice community to live in. Could ride here on my bike, which is a nice thing to be able to do. You can't do everywhere in this country now. We're kind of isolated, and there's some things that may not be good in that respect, but we have a little bit of everything here. And for that reason, it makes it just, to me, an ideal place to live. The weather is agreeable most of the time. There's no snow or ice to shovel. There's great scenery. The beaches are well kept, and the city government is generally responsive to its residents. And I can't think of a better place that I would want to live. It's just a really nice little town, and you don't find these much anymore. We're not really a suburb of Savannah. We're far enough away to be not a suburb, but a separate community, and that makes it a little different than other places. We have our share of issues with tourists and things at times, but in tourism community, but it is the lifeblood of the community. It provides employment for people who live here on the island. Not everybody who lives here is wealthy. We run the gamut. We have a movie actress who's an occasional visitor, in addition to just the regular people, the plumbers, electricians, and people who clean the rental properties, and you know them all. It's a small enough island that you know everybody. And that makes it a kind of a special place. You see a lot of things in the news today about crime and that kind of thing. We have our little bits and pieces of it here, but the police department is terrific, and the town is, you know, a safe place to be. You can walk, ride your bike anywhere on this island. You can cover the island in the space of half an hour on a bicycle, virtually, and not have any problems or concerns. Just a truly nice place to live, and I can't think of people coming here and spending some time on Tybee and not really regretting it when they drive away and they cross the bridge. One of the things about living here, you hear from people, is you don't cross that bridge if you don't have to.
I'm Lynn Randall. We moved here about 13 years ago, but I took my first step on Tybee on my first birthday 60 years ago. and the house is still there at 9th and Lovell that my parents rented. So I've been connected to Tybee for years, just didn't get here until 13 years ago. Like a lot of things about Tybee, but I find that when I leave and go to a big city or travel, that then I remember, oh gosh, on Tybee I can ride my bike anywhere or I can walk anywhere, and that's sort of our decider. If you can't walk or ride your bike, we don't want to go. So it's hard when it rains or when it's cold, but most of the time we can do that. So we walk to everything that we want to do or ride our bikes. And I like the fact that there are a lot of volunteer opportunities. You can get involved as much or as little as you'd like, but there are lots of opportunities to volunteer. I like the fact that we know our civic leaders and our government leaders. They're our friends. I feel like they listen to us. I feel like we can have an input into what goes on in our lives and in our governing of our lives. I like that there's art, theater. You can go to take classes. You can go to the Post. You can go to Tybee Arts and, you know, either see a show or go to an art show or go to a craft show, anything like that. The Lighthouse Market, the Farmers Market, you know, there are things to do always in town. Another part of volunteerism, though, is that I like the fact that we can volunteer to pick up trash. We used to pick up seashells, but now we pick up trash. And that's just, you know, part of living in a resort community, because people are going to throw things down and they don't live here, so we pick it up. And I like that part of it as well. I also like that we have parades. We'll throw a party or a parade for anything, any event, you know, any season, anything. There's always something going on Tybee for. We have lots of fireworks and that kind of thing. But Tybee takes care of its own. When there's somebody sick or somebody hurt or somebody in need, Tybee will step up and take care of the person that needs help. And so it makes a community of friends for us that we hadn't found in probably 20 years. And so when we moved here, we said, this is it, we're staying. So that's why I love Tybee.
My name is John O'Neill. Judy and I have lived on the island full-time for over 33 years. But prior to that, our families, both of our families, had beach cottages here starting in the late 40s. And I was born in 1950, so all of my summers were spent here at Tybee. Never gave much thought to actually making it our full-time residence until around 1978, 79, right in there. We had made the huge mistake of taking jobs at Hilton Head, South Carolina. And you know the old rule, if you like Tybee, you don't like Hilton Head, and if you, vice versa. So we wound up coming back about 90 days early. And we had our home in town leased out pretty much long term. We had a year's lease on it at the time. So we stayed in the beach house and for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, and reluctantly moved back to the south side and started thinking about things and said, you know what do you think? Come on down and let's start restoring the beach house and you know, make Tybee our home. We have been business owners. Judy and I bought our real estate brokerage firm in 1989 and sold it about 3 or 4 years ago, depending on when you're actually watching this production. One of the things that I really like about Tybee is the sense of community. The people make this island. The tourists bring us the entertainment. We're always interested in how they did it up there, and so we always like to engage them in conversations about that. We've been very active in the community over the years. I've served on city council twice. I'm one of only 2 people left, I believe, that served on council here under the committee form of government and then under the city manager form of government. So as Tybee grows, as our population grows, as it becomes more and more popular, we were faced with so many challenges over the last several decades. And when you look at what Tybee is today, I think we've been pretty darn successful. We've managed to maintain that tight-knit, small community feel with all of the amenities of the big city, except for the traffic. I'm not going to mention traffic on the weekends and holidays. We all know what that's about. It's a small price to pay to live here in paradise.
My name's Ron Grauzak. I'm from Georgia, lived in North Georgia for 30 years, but the last 5 I've been on Tybee Island. And I thought I moved here to live near the beach, but that's just become, I think I've been on the beach twice this year and twice last year. I see it every day, when I walk off to go to work, it's there, it's beautiful. But it's the community here. It's some of the most amazing people I've ever met. My neighbors are awesome. It's just a unique way of life here. It really is. I tell people, if you love Tybee Island, it'll love you back. And as much love as you give it, that's how much you get back. And that's truly how I feel. I mean, I came down here, thought I was still going to do the phone man thing, do voice and data systems, which I loved. I did that for 30 years. That's what I did. And had to buy a golf cart and start shuttling people around this beautiful island. And it's, I've had the option to go back and do the phone stuff. It's like, why? Why would I? I don't work anymore. I drive people around and just have the best day every day. It's been amazing. My wife and my son, we have a family business here, and we get so much love and respect, and it makes me blush, when people are like, oh, you're the best, you're this, and it's like, no, we just do it. We do it for you, we do it to make sure you get home safe or to get to work on time. It's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I get you there, you give me $3, everything's good. But then the things, the strangers that you meet every day with the tourist season, it's just a cool way of life. I mean, my only regret is I didn't move here 25 years ago. I hear about the island. I did my honeymoon here in '85. That was the first time I was ever here, and I was scared of the place. I seen all these bicycle people riding to the south end, going to the grocery store, whatever. It's just, or maybe going to the back river to go fishing. You don't know what they're on their bicycles for, but it's a blast here. I mean, it's like I said, I just wish I moved here 25 years ago. But this is my home. I don't leave this island for nothing. I really don't. This is vacation. I mean, I live on vacation, so. It's awesome here, very awesome.
My name is Jan. I've lived part-time on the island 2 years, but now I'm a permanent resident since last May. And I fell in love with Tybee several years ago. My husband's family rented a house on the back river, and we had 18 of us there, and we did that for several years. He would take his kayak down, we'd paddle over to Little Tybee. As a group, we would walk down the street to AJ's to get our crispy scored flounder, We'd go to Tybreesia, walk down the beach and get our ice cream after dinner. We'd as a group, go to breakfast club in the morning. All the fun things that you do on Tybee. Several years after that, Don got sick and diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer and Lewy body dementia. Dementia and being a caregiver is tough work. So I would come down here to my happy place, get rejuvenated, feel better. Don passed away. And then I had to decide, what do I do with my life? Do I stay where I was or do I do something else? And very unexpectedly found a cottage down here, and it was the right thing to do because I saw it at 10 in the morning and I made an offer at 4 in the afternoon. And by week's end I had my other house on the market and I've never looked back. It is a 1910s cottage. It's in the historic district of Fort Shreven. It has no central heat and air, but it had the personality. You walk down this dirt lane and these old trees, and here you are at the back of this house, a cottage. It was built for non-commissioned officers, NCO, And there were 4 houses along the road parallel to mine, and then on the other side of my front door, there were 4 more houses. My side was where the corporals lived, and the other side was the sergeants. And it just felt like it was home, it was back in time, it was a good feel. So I've enjoyed moving down here, like I say, no regrets. And I've got real turned on to the historical part of it. It's a neat place. The fort is a neat place. The history of it is a neat place. I volunteer at the lighthouse and at the headkeeper's house, so I get to talk about all those neat things. The cottage is going to be historically correct as I can get it. I've kind of picked out the 1940s, and it would be a soldier and his wife, and all the things that they did. They would have 2 children. They would have a girl and a boy, because there's 3 bedrooms in this cottage. And I know the little boy would have played with fishing, would have played baseball, would have had his marbles sitting out there at the cottage. I know the little girl would have been into Girl Scouts and playing with jacks and skipping rope and all that sort of thing. That's the kind of feeling I want to bring back to this little cottage. It's a neat place. I want it to be a neat, warm, welcoming place. And I've brought some things that I'm going to use. I'm going to put a clothesline up so that I can take my rugs out and use my rug beater. I've got an old quilt that my mother had, but this is going to be in one of the rooms as the basis. I have a great old telephone. I'm going to hook up, get a landline, and use that for my phone. That's in the works right now. I've been to the Tybee Historical Society and got their walking tour, so I can walk around in the area here and get to know more of what the different buildings were. I found a map, went down the Savannah historical area. I have a map of the area. This is a large dot, but my little tiny house is right there in the corner. It has a walking tour marked on it, but I can also see where the hospital was, where the day room was, where the laundry was, where the flags were. Oh, and I put a flagpole up in my front yard, because in the historical district, you gotta have a flag. And I put a light on it so that I can leave it up all the time. And I'm happy to look up and watch and see it below. I'm excited about Tybee, but I'm even more enthralled with the historic district, getting to know more of it, encouraging people to keep the historic feel of it, and enjoy it and make it part of it. I see Fort Trevin as the heart and soul of Tybee. To me, it is the place to live, it's a place to love. So I'm very happy with my time at Tybee.
My name's Jay Burke. I've lived on Tybee my whole life. It's 50 years now. And I grew up with my family of 5 siblings. My father grew up on Tybee. He was raised and born on Tybee. He's in a family of 4 or 5 also, and most of his family's here also. So as far as why I live on Tybee, a lot of it is my family's here, which means a lot to me. And I've been able to raise 2 kids of my own with a wife, and we have a lovely family. We're able to spend a lot of time together. And we have a business here at Tybee, and my dad started that business about 65 years ago. That's Burke's Beach Rentals, which we're all active in. I work on the weekends helping them out, and that's more or less a family business where we do umbrellas and chair rentals. That's what it's involved into. But when I was a child, it was float rentals, and my aunts and uncles worked in the business growing up, and then I did the same. I also work for a company that I deal with a lot of the Tybee business people, and I enjoy working with them. We try to help each other out. Tybee has got a special place in my heart. I think the community's great. There's a lot of nonprofits that do real well. All the churches, there's really nothing negative to say about it. It's a safe island. The police do a great job, the fire department, the government, everybody seems to work real well together. And we're sort of set out, on an island by ourselves to where we don't really catch the larger things that other communities see. Whenever anyone's in need, people just seem to step up. There's a love affair, I guess, with really, the community helping each other out and stepping up, and that's one of the main reasons that I live on Tybee. I've really never thought about moving off. There's really no negatives living at Tybee, if you ask me. It's just been it's been great to me, and hopefully my kids will enjoy it as they grow up or appreciate it more. That's the main thing. They may not appreciate the ride, but going to Savannah, but everyone's happy once they get back on Tybee. I mean, it's very unique. It's not like Skidaway Island or Hilton Head Island, or they say it could be, the Redneck Rio Vista. Maybe at one time it was, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a wonderful place to live, and you could be associated with a person that's a millionaire or somebody that doesn't have a dime, but you wouldn't be able to tell it. You wouldn't know if they had a dime to their name. They were in flip-flops and shorts having a good time, and there's people just don't hold back. It's more or less just trying to get along, enjoying it, and it's just a laid-back feel. It's a laid-back feeling. Everyone. I think that may be why everyone enjoys it so much, also.